Episode 10, State of Play for the Mighty Ducks Game Changers is now out on Disney+. This is going to be the final episode of the season, and I think this will be the final episode of the series too. I can't imagine this getting a second season, but we'll see. All in all, this was a pretty positive episode to end on. It wasn't the best episode, but there was still some positive aspects to it. But let's go ahead and break it down in the recap. So we're finally at the state tournament. The Don't Bothers have arrived and they're getting prepped for their very first game. So we're cutting to a montage of the Don't Bothers making their way through the bracket. They're finding ways to get through these games with a W. One side note here is that Coob is still sad that his parents haven't actually seen him play yet. Spoiler alert, that's going to change. We have a nice moment between Alex and Bombay where they're kind of reflecting on everything that has happened this season. Alex mentions that she would like to go back to law school, and Bombay encourages that. So with this scene, we're kind of seeing the growth of both Alex and Bombay here. Although Bombay's future is still a little bit more cryptic. The next game in the tournament is against the Lumberjacks. This is a big physical team that has their way with the Don't Bothers. Coop's parents actually show up for this game, and that has him really excited. And if there's anything that we've learned from this series, is that when your parents show up for the first time to see you play, you are going to play amazing. So Coop gets the 1-0 shutout and carries his team to a victory. The major plot point of this game is that Sophie hurts her knee, even more so than she's had for the entire season. Evan walks in on Sophie nursing her knee. It looks really, really bad. It's bruised, it is mangled, it is swollen, and it looks really nasty. Evan informs Alex and Bombay of what's going on. They also bring Sophie's parents into it while a medical professional checks her out. She has a grade 1 sprain. Now, if she hits it the wrong way, it can get worse and maybe cause some serious permanent damage. Obviously, nobody wants Sophie to play on this knee, except for Sophie. She feels like she's letting down the entire team if she doesn't play. Sophie is not happy with Evan here. She feels like he went behind her back. She calls a players-only meeting, and she expresses this frustration. Evan basically lets her know that this isn't worth it. The Don't Bothers have made it all the way to the state championship game where they will play the Ducks. We learned that for the state championship, the rules say you have to have at least 10 active players. The Don't Bothers only have 10 players, so if Sophie sits out, they will automatically forfeit, and she doesn't want to do that. But Evan doesn't want her to permanently hurt herself either. So he says he will sit out if she won't. And the rest of the team agrees as well. So the Don't Bothers take the forfeit because they don't want Sophie to get hurt. This was a good moment. The team came together and rallied behind Sophie and made the right decision for her, even though she was willing to actually hurt herself further for the team. So the Ducks officially win the state championship. As the Don't Bothers are leaving their locker room, they run into the Ducks. And of course, Coach T is there to gloat about it. Alex and Coach T have a back and forth here. And to sum it up, Alex tells him that they can beat them at any time, and that they didn't actually win the championship because they didn't beat the Don't Bothers. So this is going to set up a game for the next day. The Don't Bothers are going to unofficially take on the Mighty Ducks to see who's better. This is going to be an unsanctioned game that's going to take place at the Ice Palace. But the only reason Coach T agrees to this is because he has a stipulation. If the Ducks win, the Don't Bothers have to drop out of the league completely and never play hockey again. Bombay counters with his own stipulation. If the Don't Bothers win, then they will take the name of the Ducks. So obviously we know what's going to happen here. The Ducks are going to play the Don't Bothers, and the Don't Bothers are going to go over and get the name back. We could all see this coming from a mile away, but it's handled in a good way here. So we cut back to the next day at the Ice Palace. The Ducks are going to take on the Don't Bothers. Here we get a sterling rendition of Coob singing the National Anthem. This is a recreation of the Hawks and the Ducks lining up right before their state championship game in the first movie. The game starts and the Don't Bothers are holding their own. I really like the music that is used throughout this game. If you don't recognize it, this is the same music that was used between the Mighty Ducks in the third movie against the Eden Hall Warriors varsity team. It had that same feel though. They're trying to recreate that early morning game where the Ducks took on the Eden Hall Warrior varsity team. Coach T becomes frustrated with the way his team is playing. He makes note that there's only one ref out there, so they need to pick up the physicality and play a little bit more dirty. The ref can't catch everything. And frankly, that's a really good strategy. There's only one ref, and hockey is about getting away with as much as you can. I do wish they weren't so blatant about it. A lot of the things that they do are right in front of the ref. Could have used just a little bit more subtlety to it, but all in all, it's okay. The Ducks make a comeback based on this strategy and start dominating the Don't Bothers. We get to the final intermission. The Don't Bothers are feeling kind of defeated. It's not a fair game, and they feel like they have no way of winning. So this sets up Sophie coming in to encourage the team. Every player on the team gets to speak their piece on how the Don't Bothers changed their life for the positive. This was a good locker room scene. This shows how every one of these kids was affected by this team being created. So every single player had their time to shine. And at the end of the day, they're all just playing for fun. And so that helps to inspire them going forward. Bombay has a special gift for them. We're recreating the scene from D2. He has the original Mighty Ducks jerseys from the very first movie, and all of the kids are going to wear them for the final period. I have a nitpick here. I see Gaffney, I see Russ Tyler, and I see Kenny Wu. These are not OG Mighty Ducks, and they never would have had these District 5 Mighty Ducks jerseys. But I get it. It's okay. We get to see Evan wearing Charlie's old jersey that has the C on it. I will say that seeing the team in these jerseys just made me want to see the original Mighty Ducks again. I'm not sure that was the intention there, but that's how I feel seeing those jerseys. So the Don't Bothers are able to tie up the game, and with time running out, they form the Flying V. We haven't seen this move work since the very first Mighty Ducks movie. In D2 and D3, it was well scouted and teams knew how to stop it. This Ducks team had no idea what to do with it, and so the Don't Bothers wind up scoring the game-winning goal with the Flying V. Now, when did this team have time to practice the Flying V? I don't know, and I guess it doesn't matter. But the Don't Bothers win, and now they are officially the Ducks. Or are they? Coach T throws a little bit of a tantrum and say all of this was unofficial, and none of it counts. And so Stephanie steps in because she actually has the power to change the name of the Ducks if she wants to, since she is on the Ducks board. And she agrees that the Don't Bothers can have the Ducks. So the Don't Bothers are officially the Mighty Ducks now. And so there you have it. That's how the season officially ends. The Don't Bothers win an unofficial game against the Ducks, and they've taken their name. So again, this was an okay episode. I don't really have a lot of complaints about it. The only thing I wish that they had done was split this episode into 2 episodes. I think this should have been episode 9 and 10. I think episode 9 should have focused on the tournament itself, and then this episode 10 should have led into the Ducks versus the Don't Bothers confrontation. I think because it's all in one episode, it's extremely rushed. You get through this entire tournament, plus Sophie's injury, plus the Don't Bothers taking on the Ducks for the rights of the name. I think we could have got rid of that trash episode 9 and used this as episode 9 and 10. It would have slowed the pace down and you really would have appreciated more what was happening. But that's it for the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. I don't think we're going to see a second season. I'm not really sure what they would do. I'm not really sure if there's enough meat on the bones for there to be a season 2. Nothing I would want to see anyway. Something tells me that this show probably didn't have the highest views. But we'll see what decision Disney makes going forward. Disney Plus needs original content, so maybe this would be an easy driver for them. I'm going to sum up my feelings on what I think about this series. When it was first announced, I was really excited for it. I was hoping to see some of that Ducks magic back on my screen again. Unfortunately, I don't think we got it. I think there's a handful of solid episodes in this series, but for the most part, it's kind of a drag. There's episodes that I think they could have flat out torn out of the story and it wouldn't have mattered, and that's really unfortunate. The pacing was all over the place. Sometimes we got episodes that were capable of hitting beats, and it felt like a fully fleshed out story. And then we had episodes that had so much crammed into it, where you just didn't really care what was happening. There was no reason to. So for that reason, it's not a series that I recommend. There's shows out there that handle this kind of nostalgia way better. Cobra Kai is an example of a show that handles this kind of nostalgia really well. That's a show that's been able to take those elements of nostalgia and incorporate it into a more modern take. I don't think Game Changers does that. It's hard to say who this show actually appeals to. I'm about as diehard as you can get when it comes to the Mighty Ducks trilogy, and this series isn't for me. But will new people to the series even care about this show if they've never seen the original Mighty Ducks? There's nothing there to really tie it together for them. I think 70% of this series can be skipped. And the 30% that is in a positive category for me isn't enough to actually carry the entire series itself. So if there is a season 2, I hope they learn something from the Cobra Kai series. Nostalgia can be done really well. You just have to put in the effort. But that's it for me when it comes to the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. If you guys are interested, please make sure you go check out my other reviews on the first 9 episodes. Let me know what you thought about this episode down in the comments. If you like this content, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I hope today's the day that I earned your subscription. Thanks for being a part of my life, and I'll see you next time.